There's a clip that was going around over the weekend that was shocking to those who have never really watched Disney Plus or looked at much of the content that is being promoted on Disney Plus. And there's a reason that we here at Daily Wire are dedicating $100 million over the next couple of years to produce children's content. It's coming out in very short order, apparently not fast enough. DW Kids is going to be a thing specifically because we wish to provide your kids a space where they can believe in traditional values and just learn about the world. But what the left wants to do is prey on your kids and shove into their brains terrible ideas about the country, about morality, about religion, about all the institutions, the intermediate institutions that make life both secure and worth living. And so one of the shows that was doing this on Disney Plus is, of course, The Proud Family. Here is a clip from The Proud Family that was making the rounds over the weekend. It is just false history and nonsense, rage against America being taught to your small kids.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane.
Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king.
And we were its soldiers,
4 million strong,
fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves.
Built this country. The descendants of slaves continue to build it.
Slaves built this country. And we, the descendants of slaves in America, have earned reparations for their suffering.
And continue to earn reparations every moment we spend submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and
white supremacy that America was founded with and still has not atoned for.
Slaves built this country. Not only field hands, but carpenters, masons,
blacksmiths, musicians,
inventors built cities from Jamestown to New Orleans to Banneker,
Washington. 40 acres and a mule.
We'll take the 40 acres, keep the mule.
We made your families rich.
From the southern plantation heirs
to the northern bankers
to the New England ship owners,
the founding fathers,
former presidents,
current senators,
the Illuminati, the New World Order.
Slaves built this country.
We had Tubman,
Turner,
Frederick D.
Didn't they say Lincoln freed the slaves?
But slaves were men.
And women.
And only we can free ourselves.
Emancipation is not freedom. Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, public schools feeding private prisons, where we become slaves again.
As we celebrate Juneteenth
for the umpteenth time,
our account is still outstanding.
Cause this country was built on slavery, which means
slaves built this country.
And we demand our 40 acres and a mule.
Bump that! You can keep the mule.
Keep the 40.
We're taking our freedom.
Okay, so that's what they're promoting on Disney Plus. That's what they're promoting. That is a false history of the United States. This is basically just 1619 Project garbage. It is bled down. This is always how it works, is that all this garbage starts at the highest level of critical race theory in our universities, then it bleeds down to the people who write your shows, and then it's your kids who are now learning this in their schools in a dumbed-down version of the 1619 Project or on The Proud Family on Disney Channel. First of all, the belief system that America was built on the back of slavery as opposed to all other cultures ever, that every institution of the United States is infused with slavery, it's a lie. The belief that it's Southern wealth that generated American prosperity is also a lie. The South was an economic backwater compared to the North. Slavery is actually very bad for the economy, as it turns out, which is what the South found out during the Civil War, and the North kicked the hell out of them. The belief system that people today are owed reparations for sins committed against their great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, and that every ill in American society today is attributable to slavery is an absurdity. And yet this is the crap that they are now mainlining into your kids' heads through TV, and making your kids hate the country. I mean, I don't know how you emerge from that without your kid thinking our country is evil. That, of course, is the entire point of that little woke retelling of American history, straight from Nicole Hannah-Jones and Howard Zinn. The idea is America is bad. The founding fathers, they were all evil slaveholders. Lincoln didn't free the slaves. Lincoln actually wasn't responsible. We freed ourselves. That might come as a surprise to the 500,000 people who died in the Civil War. But again, this basic idea, which is that America is super bad, it's being mainlined. You know who actually is the executive producer for this show, by the way. The person who is involved in the making of this show is a person named LaToya Raveneau. You'll remember LaToya Raveneau. She's the executive producer for Disney Television Animation. And she was caught on tape just a few months ago saying, quote, "In my little pocket of proud family Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. Maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened. All the momentum that I felt, that sense of, I don't have to be afraid to have these two characters kiss in the background. I was just wherever I could adding queerness. No one would stop me. No one was trying to stop me. It's all part of a broader rubric, a broader agenda to indoctrinate your kids. This is all part, pretending that these are sort of individual incidents that are sort of cropping up here and there. It's not right. It's part of a broader intellectual framework that says the American institutions are bad. Churches are bad. Family is bad. Worship thyself. That's the only thing that we're worth worship. And maybe some tribal politics that allow you to gain power as an individual. That's really what everything here is all about. And in just 1 second, we'll get to the broader attempt by our culture to indoctrinate your kids into particular ideological cults. We'll get to that in just one moment. First, it's been a rough few years for business. I don't think it's going to get any easier. Despite all of the talk, the happy talk about the economy, as I say, I don't think that the economy is going to be radically improving anytime soon. In fact, I think it's probably likely to go somewhat the other way. If you're a business owner and you paid too much in taxes, shouldn't you get some of that money back? Here's the thing. A lot of people actually did this. During COVID, a lot of us paid taxes that you actually didn't need to pay, and you might be able to claw some of that back. If your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. It's not a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund on your taxes. The challenge is how exactly do you get your hands on it? You head on over to getrefunds.com. Their team of tax attorneys are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. They've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you as well. They do all the work, no charge up front. Simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those who had increases in sales. Just head on over to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, answer a few quick questions. The payroll tax refund only available for a limited amount of time. Don't miss out. Don't leave money on the table. Go to getrefunds.com. Again, that's getrefunds.com. And with everything going on in the world right now, I'm not getting as much sleep as I should. I got to tell you, last night was just a disaster area. So the dog woke up. We have a brand new puppy, and this dog woke up at midnight, 1, 3, and 6. What does that mean? It means that in the moments where I actually can get sleep, I need to sleep. And that means I need the best mattress on planet Earth. This is why I've been using a Helix sleep mattress for years. Helix is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. The Helix lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, even a mattress made just for kids. I've had my Helix sleep mattress for several years at this point. It is fantastic. It's so good that I got one for my parents. I got one for one of my sisters, for another of my sisters. It makes a great gift, by the way. Helix has a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix has over 12,000 5-star reviews. Their financing options and flexible payment plans make it so a great night's sleep is never far away. For a limited time, Helix is offering up to 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. It's their best offer yet. Hurry on over to helixsleep.com/Ben. Again, that's helixsleep.com/Ben. With Helix, better sleep starts right now. Well, speaking of the indoctrination of our kids, obviously, it's not just happening via the Proud Family on Disney+, although that is one reason why we've launched DW Kids. That programming will be available in short order. It's just a great reason why you should subscribe at dailywireplus.com right now so that you can actually give your kids material that doesn't make them hate their country or hate their family or hate their religion and all of the rest. But it's also happening, obviously, in our institutions of higher learning. It's part of a broader campaign to dissolve the societal glue that binds us together. One of the lead figures in that is, of course, Nicole Hannah-Jones, the wildly over-celebrated pseudo-intellectual who put together the 1619 Project, a pack of lies predicated on the idea that every institution in American society is essentially racist and white supremacist. Over the weekend, she was campaigning again for the 1619 Project because Hulu has gotten its institutional power behind this thing. Again, remember, all the arbiters of culture are on the side of the people who like satanic celebrations at the Grammys. I mean, that's what's happening right here. So here, they've dedicated presumably tens of millions of dollars to making a lie-filled project like the 1619 Project, promoted by a huckster like Nicole Hannah-Jones. Here she was promoting this thing on another huckster network, MSNBC.
This is your country. This is your native land. You built this country. Your ancestors built this country. And in some ways, it is a very patriotic book, just like the 1619 Project is unintentionally patriotic.
Unintentionally patriotic. By unintentionally patriotic, what she means is her entire project is America sucks. But the good things about America we're responsible for, and by we, she means like progressive leftists on racial matters. She also suggested that to oppose critical race theory, which again is the theory that she essentially purveys in dumbed down fashion, that is a propaganda campaign because true American history is a story of suffering and evil.
You weren't doing any such thing. You were saying, let's look at American history in a broader context.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we should just call the anti-critical race theory campaign what it is. It's a propaganda campaign, right? It was stoking division for political gain because obviously both critical race theory, the actual critical race theory, and the 1619 Project are not talking about individuals. We are talking about systems.
Yes, that's the whole point. By the way, stoking hatred for political gain is the name of her autobiography. Nicole Hannah-Jones. What a joke she is. Peter Wood of the National Association of Scholars, he was on Fox News debunking the 1619 Project over the weekend.
Overall, your thought of the book and the Oprah-sponsored series?
Well, the book is a shameless compilation of misstatements, misrepresentations of the American past. Like any other historian, I'm in favor of teaching African American history, but I would like to see it taught accurately and well.
Yeah, all of this bleeds down into actual policy as well. We are swimming in an ocean of left-wing ideology that promotes the dissolution of all the ties that bind us together, obviously. And what that means is that even basic standards of societal decency have been undermined. So one of the big projects, for example, of the Biden administration, this is in the very early days of the Biden administration, is in June of 2021, the Biden administration announced that they would like to redo how school discipline is done, to take an example. Why? Well, it turns out that a disproportionate number of kids who are subjected to school discipline, like being suspended or expelled, are black. The reason for that is because, unfortunately, a disproportionate number of kids who are misbehaving in class in ways that require them to be removed from the classroom are black. But the Department of Education was not willing to say that. They didn't even establish any sort of data baseline. Instead, the idea was that if there's any disparity between white suspension rates and black suspension rates, well, then it must be systemic racism in the mold of Nicole Hannah-Jones or Ibram X. Kendi. Anytime there is a discrepancy, anytime there's a disparity, that means there has been some sort of systemic discrimination. So all the way back in June of 2021, the agency announced that it planned to seek public comment on discipline and school climate and, quote, how best to support and build schools' capacity to promote positive, inclusive, safe, and supportive school climates in a non-discriminatory manner. Again, the idea being that the only way to end discrimination in schools is to make sure that kids don't get expelled or suspended anymore. And what this has led to is an artificial attempt to close racial gaps in suspensions and reduce the use of suspensions in general over the course of the last couple of years. The result has been, in many cases, that you have kids who are acting horribly in class and who are ruining the educational experience for pretty much everybody else. And even critics of the current disparities will acknowledge that there is no data, like they've not even bothered to gather data, on whether the discrepancy is due to a difference in behavior. Brookings Institute had a piece over the weekend talking about it. It said, despite positive changes, racial disproportionality in school discipline persists. Why is it so hard to close such gaps? What are we missing? A close look at research articles and policy debates on this topic suggests researchers and policymakers have been almost exclusively focusing on the end result of discipline, suspensions. But there's been no attention given to referral and reporting processes. But here's the thing. They say that the data don't even include, like they don't bother to include, how the kids are actually behaving before they are suspended. Quote, it is challenging to tease out the mechanism because researchers almost never observe the underlying student behavior of an infraction. Well, then how can you tell whether it's disparity or discrimination? How can you tell? The reason this has real world consequences, of course, is because this now bleeds over into media coverage of situations in which school discipline is absolutely necessary. So there was a video that was going around over the weekend, and it is a shocking video that was going around over the weekend. And it showed two kids who are black, they're boys, and they're beating the living hell, I mean, really beating the living hell, apparently out of a brother and a sister in Homestead, Florida. Here's a bit of the video. It's really disturbing. Just boys pummeling. And for 40 seconds, 45 seconds, no adult doing anything. These boys just pummeling this kid. Now, the reason that I bring this up is because there are media headlines that came out. They were very reticent to talk about the race of the people who are involved, whereas obviously if the races were reversed, then that would be a major news story. In fact, there was one particular news story that was making the rounds on the internet in which they'd used a stock photo of a kid punching another kid, and the kid punching the other kid was white. According to the WSVN network in South Miami-Dade, Florida, disturbing videos of a school bus beating shows two children who are brother and sister being pounded by their peers, prompting the victim's mother to take action. In the bus riding beating, the 9-year-old girl can be seen bent down in her seat as a teen stood over her and delivered a barrage of blows. Another video showed her 10-year-old brother being beaten while on the same school bus. The girl suffered bruises on her head, back, and shoulders, leaving her parents fuming and full of questions about how this could have happened to their children. The victim's father said, at the same time my daughter was getting beaten, the same thing was happening to my son on the other side of the bus. The parents said this is not the first time their daughter and son have been targeted. They said they've been bullied at school since they started in January. The children's mother said, I've been to the school. I've spoken with counselors, principals, assistants, other principals. An assistant principal wrote us and she said, I think it's time you take your kids out of the school. Our kids aren't the problem, said the kid's father. They love to learn. It's sad that something they enjoy is becoming something that they are fearing now. Now they've pulled the kids out of the school. Again, the only thing that should matter is the safety of kids in school. But when equity concerns begin to play a role in how we actually discipline children, we got a major problem on our hands. Again, that goes to broader perceptions of society, broader ideological rubrics have an impact on real world situations. This is just one example of that. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be talking with Peter Boghossian. You'll remember him. He's the professor who sent a bunch of ridiculous fake headlines to various university journals, and they printed them all because the universities are nuts. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.